Ringit about 11 minutes past the top of the hour. It's a Tuesday, so being a Tuesday, discussing matters business. And this particular morning, just talk about the whole focus will be the whole special economic zones. So you've probably heard about this, from the government, and you've always wondered what are really these special economic zones and have the right minds to discuss this particular conversation and how it really affects you as a Kenyan. And this particular morning, we're privileged to have Permanent Secretary, State Department for Investment Promotion, Abubakar
Hassan.
Abubakar Hassan.
Yeah.
Karibu sana. Not a new face to this, right here in the studios. And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to
Looking
you.
sharp this morning.
Thank you.
And as well, Dr. Kenneth Chelula, CEO, Special Economic Zone. Karibu sana.
Good morning, Stanley.
Not yet a year into the office. How has it been?
It's been quite a journey. A lot of things. I'm sure we'll go into details, but we are the people who will facilitate in entry of investors into the country, and so there's been a lot. We literally were beginning from the starts, and we are somewhere now. You'll hear more about this as we move along with the program.
Oh, yes. First of all, I mean, it being a new year, January, it will be pertinent to also have an outlook of the past year, since January all the way to December of 2023. First of all, Bwana PS, how was it, the investment climate in the country, devoid of what was happening, politics side and everything really affecting even the investment climate. And even as he puts it, bringing investors into the country. How is it really the outlook according to you?
Okay, look back 2023, look forward 2024. I think the investment climate is positive and continues to be positive. Mm-hmm. Very, very friendly, very attractive, very facilitative, and very enabling. Yeah, and if you look at the Africa, the big deals, yeah, they have just rated Kenya as #1 in Africa in terms of startup investments. Mm-hmm. Yeah, $800 million. If you look at the FDI intelligence, they have rated Kenya #1 in looking forward in 2024 as the #1 country in Africa with the greatest investment momentum. So we are expecting more favorable rating because we have been working on our investment climate to make it competitive.
Right. And now for you, Dr. Still on the same, since you came into the office, how has the special economic zones really taken, and how has it been really so far?
Let me say this. Our job is to promote, attract, and facilitate investment into the country. At the same time, we also engage investors to get to know what they think their experiences. I think a turning moment for us was last year when the Finance Act of 2023 was passed, because there were a few amendments that were made that really changed how we do things. Previously, it was most investors, apart from coming to invest, are also looking at the market where they want to sell the products. And as you know, our program allows both local and export market entry for the goods coming from SEZ. So the Act last year allowed for local market access, and that was a game changer. So since then, we experienced between, let me say, 10 to 20 investors making inquiries and even coming to our premises looking for opportunities per week. It's a big thing. Last year, we set up, since the beginning, let's beginning from 2023 July, we've had around 21 special economic zone licenses, mm-hmm. enterprise licenses, an investment of around $120 million, okay? And generating some potential of the 1,500 jobs. So it's been a journey. Inquiries come day after day. Our president has been a good ambassador for the program. And every time, like when we launched Taifacas, which was our first, in terms of public zone, the firstborn, there were a lot of inquiries, and it really created good momentum. This week, since the last, let's say the last few days, since the launch of the power station in Naivasha, yesterday were full of phone calls, emails, people asking to know more about what we do. So there's a lot of goodwill from government.
Is it, and sorry to cut short, is it mostly locals or foreigners?
Our program actually does both foreign and direct domestic, foreign direct investment as well as domestic investment. We attract both. To us, it doesn't matter who we invest. Our interest is, can you create jobs? Can you export products or services? That's the bottom line. So whether you are Kenyan, you are East African, you are African, or to the wider world, it doesn't matter. Investment is what you want.
And because you have mentioned Saturday, where President William Ruto was in Naivasha, there's an interesting, you're really focusing on even the foreign kind of investors and how we really, the whole relation in between. Let's listen in to what President William Ruto was talking about on Saturday, then we resume.
Ile auction ya magari, watu wanaendea kule Japan. Sasa hakuna haja ya kwenda Japan. Sasa itakuwa inafanyika hapa Naivasha. Hii magari yote ambayo inaletwa Toyota na hiyo ingine kutoka Japan. Sasa tumekubaliana na hiyo kampuni ambaye tunaenda kuanzisha sehemu yao, watakuwa ni watu ya kwanza kupatiwa hii stima tumeanzisha hapa. Na tumekubaliana mwezi wa 4 mwaka huu, miezi 3 ambayo iko mbele hapo, nitarudi hapa. Mutaona magari chungu nzima ambazo zitakuwa hapa, nyinyi mjipange. Na badala ya kununua hii magari saa zingine unaulizwa madola, sasa magari itauzwa hapa na Kenya shilling. So mjipange hapa, mnaweza kuuza ng'ombe, muuze mbuzi, muuze nini, mkuje mnunue magari, hakuna haja ya kwenda Japan. Ile pesa mungetumia kuweka kulipa ndege na kutafuta visa na kwenda kulipa hoteli, hakuna haja. Sasa itakuwa hapa Naivasha. Tumekubaliana? Na hii soko ambayo itakuwa hapa ya magari sio ya Kenya peke yake. Ni ya East Africa mzima, watu kutoka DRC, kutoka Uganda, kutoka Tanzania, kutoka Central Africa Republic, kutoka South Sudan, kutoka mpaka Rwanda, Burundi, wote watakujia hizo magari hapa. Nyinyi mwanza kujenga hoteli hapa, wao watu watakuja kulalala hapa wakingojea kununua magari.
That is President William Ruto on Saturday. And I can see you, Daktari, you're there, just behind, the head of state, definitely smiling, listening to him. And I'm curious, Kenyans listening to this and the whole conversation on the impact. P.S., what will, the whole auction of even the whole Japanese cars, even in Kenyan shillings, what impact will it have on Kenyans and car dealers really?
Okay, good. First, you need to recognize and acknowledge that His Excellency the President is the investment promotion officer #1. He has been, positioning our country globally, strengthening our economic diplomacy, and broadening and deepening our investment relationship. And that is why we are seeing this attractive where global countries and global ratings are rating us favorably. Is because of his boldness. He's making bold moves in the investment space. So with respect to that company which is going to do the auction there, first is the auction will be done there. So all these kayaks, instead of looking for dollars to go and import these cars, they will just be buying the cars in Kenya shilling at Naivasha. So we are going to reduce our need for dollars and also our import-export bill. Yeah. So that's the first thing that is going to help us. Yeah. But in addition, what is important to His Excellency the President and this administration is about job creation. His Excellency has put a lot of programs to ensure that our youth and our people are getting jobs. We have the affordable housing program, which currently it has employed over 120,000 people. We have the digital jobs program targeting our youth who are very techy. We have the export of labor, which he has signed a lot of bilateral agreements so that we can export our labor, because according to the World Economic Forum, Kenya has the best human capital. Yeah, and it is needed there, and we think when it goes there, it also helps us with our remittance, diaspora remittance. And another program is in the industrial space. His Excellency the President has a program to make sure that each county has a county aggregation and industrial park, so that we can create these jobs for our people. So alongside to the CAIP, to the County Aggregation Industrial Park, is also the special economic zones and the export processing zones. Right. So he has asked us to gazette 5 more special economic zones, which are in the scheme of EPZ, one in Kirinyaga, there's a one in Murang'a, in Busia, another one in Nakuru. So all these, the main aim is to create jobs for our people, because we need to attract private investment to create jobs for our people. And
then before you even continue, for the whole thought process of it, you mentioned the whole gazettement of 5 more.
Yes, flagship, yes.
Right now, correct me if I'm wrong, about 28 gazetted special economic zones. So far, 8 have been for investment. They're ready for investment. 4 from public, 4 from private. That leaves about 20.
Right now there are 34 special economic zones, right?
That's correct.
And I think 5 are public, 5 to 6 are public, and 28 are private. So those who have the flagship are EPZ, but EPZ is a scheme and a special economic zone. Yes, the 5 which have been because the flagship.
Right.
Yes.
And well, still on the whole Japanese, because the whole auction, first of its kind, really. Is this a gate opener for something broader, as from where you sit? Because I mean, some of this can really look like kind of a something to smile even for the car dealers. They're like, well, this is a good opportunity for us. But is it a gate opener for more? From where you sit, can you enlighten us? What should we be expecting on 2024?
Okay. Allow me, Stanley, to contextualize this. Today, as a Kenyan, this is how you buy a car. You can buy from a friend. Maybe it's exchange hands. You can go to a car dealer. Or you can buy from Japan. Okay? Dealers and buying in Japan involve an auction process. So vehicles are sold in lots of hundreds, thousands by car dealers. They are shipped to their respective destination. Let's say in this case, Mombasa, Kenya. That process involves cost. There is the cost of the vehicle itself, there is the cost of freight, and other related costs. That cost, you are the one to bear as an individual. And if you are a dealer, yes, then you bear as a dealer. So from Nagoya, the auction place in Japan, to Mombasa, all that cost will be borne by individual dealers or by an individual. Now, this activity that the president, and he was really spot on in the various aspects of how it's going to operate, removes all those costs related to importation of the vehicle from Japan to Mombasa. So that you as a Kenyan, you as a dealer, need to come to Naivasha or operate from your office with your laptop or with your application on a mobile. You just bid. This is how it's going to work. They'll be sold in lots. So the intention of the proprietor is that he's going to do the sales twice a month, 1st and 15th of the month. And they are going to be sold in hundreds. So dealers come together, bid for a price, okay? Then from then, you can now remove the car and bring it to a country called Kenya or to East Africa or even beyond. So what that means is that you also have an option to go and see what you're buying. You know, if you're buying from Japan, you rely on pictures, you rely on videos.
Yeah.
But here you see, and you can make a decision. You can even make decision to change. You know, if you're a young person, you want a flashy gas, flashy wheels. There are areas, point of servicing, you can change parts, put in parts that are suitable for the roads. Now, so that process now begins, and what does it mean to the country? So
all that is happening in Naivasha?
In Naivasha. In Kenya, in Naivasha. So whether you are from Chad, Sudan, you can always travel to Naivasha. It means, so if I'm coming from a country called, let's say, Ethiopia, and the president said they need accommodation because they cannot do that activity in a matter of hours. It will take a few days. So hence the reason why he was challenging the community around Naivasha, as he said, to build enough accommodation because they'll come and stay for a few days.
Right. Two follow-up questions on that. Yeah. When is this likely to start happening? And are there other areas? Will Naivasha be the sole area for all that for a longer period of time, or is there a plan to have other
what? Other special economic zones?
Other auction houses.
Other auction houses. Okay.
So put it this way. Okay, this is the date according to the proprietor that we must watch out. The president also mentioned that. 24/04/24. So the first bell will be rung on that day, the 24th of April of 2024. That's the day. In terms of whether there will be other auction houses in the country, obviously, we welcome Kenyans, we welcome other investors. Our license allows for more than one player. We don't have limitation. I know, at least I've received 2 inquiries on the same proposal.
Right.
For those who will meet the requirements, we'll allow them.
Right.
We'll license them.
Right.
But I wanted to go further.
Okay.
The key word is this. We are going to trade using Kenyan shillings. So normally when you change money from Kenyan shilling to a dollar, there are some losses.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay, so that we are cutting out. It's from yen to shillings and into the region. And if Ugandans, if Tanzanians are buying, if the outer East Africa is buying, it means there's inflow of currency into the country. Okay? Right. So it's all good for the country. Now, for the people who are coming from colleges and the university, as the PS has said, we need mechanics, we need automotive engineers, we need people who will clean, we need people who may want to do some painting. So I can see good opportunities for TVET and the universities in terms of feeding this kind of industry.
All right. Okay. And this largely now speaks about reforms and even not only in Kenya, really, even the whole East Africa bloc. And we'll be talking about all that in a few. But then, Bonapias, on your pinned tweet on X, talk about matters, the strategic focus really says, and I quote, converting investor leads into actual deals through implementation of competitive business reforms, really. And I'm curious, I mean, moving forward, are you worried that in the near future, in the successive future governments, they'll obviously have their own, future, government reforms and all that. Are you worried that this might derail or this might, die down later on?
No. What I meant by that is, as I've said, we have done a lot of global positioning and through the president economic diplomacy. So we have elicited lots of investment deals. People are leads, not deals. People are expressing interest to invest in Kenya. So we have a pipeline of that. So we are saying this year we'll be focusing on converting leads to deals. So the issue is conversion, we need to convert. And that is why this year we are saying it will be a year of action. We're converting leads to deals, to actual disbursements so that we can create jobs for our people.
Right.
Yes, and that is why I had said we need to focus on that conversion. We need to focus, when you are converting, there'll be a lot of facilitation issue. So we are enhancing our investment facilitation structure to be a one-start, one-go, so that investors can be facilitated quickly to get into the market, and also enabling them through making these projects bankable. Yeah.
So how is the process of even for an investor to want to basically have set up at SEZ, the whole special economic zone? How is the process really, and how does it differentiate when for a domestic and also a foreigner?
It's the same. We don't discriminate. For a domestic investor and for foreign investor, they can access, they can take advantage of the special economic zone. They can tap into it and invest in their economic activities. And a special economic zone is a tool, one of the tools the president has given to our State Department to attract private investment. When this administration came into power, there was what people called a perfect economic storm, right? And this perfect economic storm brought a lot of deficits. There are three major deficits: the savings to investment deficits, the fiscal deficits, and the balance of payment deficits, in particular in the trade deficits. And the government resources to finance or to invest to bridge up this deficit, you can see it's not enough. So we are saying that we need private investment. We need to leverage on private investment so that we can be able to transform those deficits to surpluses. So, and one of the tools given is special economic zones. These are zones where a specific area where the government has designated, where they are infrastructurally enabled in terms of quality infrastructure. For example, in Naivasha, you are seeing that zone is connected to the dry port. Yeah, the president has just commissioned or launched a specific power substation just to serve that zone. There's a water reservoir there just to serve that. Then that zone has fiscal incentives. When money goes into that zone, first of all, it has no restriction. No foreign exchange restriction, no ownership restriction. Then when that money goes out of that zone, there's also no restriction. And there are no taxes. There's no taxes on dividend. There's no taxes on interest payment. Then when you operate in that zone, there are preferential tax treatment. Outside the zone, you pay 30%. The corporate tax there is 10% for the first 10 years. When you're doing business, when you're importing goods, there is no import duty, there's no excess duty, there's no VAT, so that you can be able to produce competitively. So, and we also, when you operate in that zone, you can access 100% export and also 100% domestic. And you see what we have done for this year in terms of bringing our special economic zone into world-class competitive. We are giving incentives which are irresistible to investors. Number one thing which an investor looks at whenever he invests in anything is the market risk. Where is the market potential for that? So what we have done this year, we have ensured that before people who set up in the special economic zone, they had challenges in accessing the EAC market. We have championed an EAC policy, EAC SEZ policy, which has now been approved by the Council of Ministers in the EAC. Now, if you set up there, you can really access the EAC market. There was also an issue of someone who set up in the SEZ, how can he access the African market? We have championed how people can access the African market, and there is now FSFTA ministerial regulations on SEZ. Let me finish. Okay. In terms of market access, so that's what we've done regionally and continentally. People who are setting up in the SEZ, they had a problem of marketing, accessing the domestic market, the Kenyan market. In the Finance Act 2023, now they can access the Kenya, the local market, if they have outsourced the raw materials from our locals, so that we can enhance the backward integration. So we are really making this the CESA program competitive so that investors can set up in.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I was actually now to ask Dr. on the same.
Yes.
Whole, Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
Yes.
And also the EAC, the whole relation that it has and the impact that it would really have on the now SEZ. Okay. And even as you comment on that, because I mean he's talked about it. We also expected to have the African Economic Zones Organization 9th Annual Conference. Your expectations on the same?
Maybe before he answers,
okay,
just to show how impactful you are and how people out there respect what the president is doing and what he's doing for this country and for Africa. We were voted in to host that Africa Special Economic Zone General Assembly in 2024, mainly because of the president's agenda in the economic transformation discourse. They believe that the president, he knows the way for Africa as far as the CESA program is concerned, and they voted us overwhelmingly without even campaigning. I was there and I could see everyone was like, this thing has to go to Kenya because they have a president who is pro SCC program.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
But you can.
Yeah, very true. It was interesting because I think in terms of hosting as PSS said, our intention was to do the 10th ISO conference. This year is the 9th. But delegates, especially led by Ghana and Nigeria, said, we've been following your president. We know he believes in a special economic zone. And for that reason, it will be, Kenya should host this year's. And
in addition to hosting, we were also appointed in the steering committee so that we can influence and shape the special economic zone policy in the African continent, right?
That's true.
So this generally means Kenya has somewhat of a good relation when it comes to trade and investments with other African countries.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And we are building on the leadership we've been providing in the region. The development of ESG policy and regulation has been largely led. In fact, usually when we go to Arusha, the reference point is Special Economic Zone Program. But I want to go back to, we were talking about the market, and I want to contextualize a bit more, build on what the PSS said. You know, investors globally are out looking for opportunities to make money. I think the year before, globally we've got around $1.34 trillion. Okay? That countries are competing for in terms of FDI. Whether you are USA, you are Kenya, you are Morocco, South Africa. Of those $1.34 trillion, 80 billion come to Africa. And I know PS is a big favorite of these numbers. 10 of which come to East Africa. And I don't know about the last year, but we've been doing around 0.5 billion of the $1.34 trillion. So, but this is the most important thing, and that's why PS was passionate about reforms. We need to be competitive. Investors have option to go to USA, to go to China, to go to Dubai, to go anywhere else. So they are not doing favors to us. They are looking for opportunities where they can have favorable environment, free of bureaucracy, free of all the bad things that hinder business. Hence the reason why we've been on learning curve, even as we implement SEZ. We've been busy, and the amendment continues. In fact, we did the fiscal and fiscal-related amendments in the Finance of 2023 Act, Finance Act of 2023. We are ongoing, and we'll be doing the rest of amendments, and I'm sure PS can elaborate more on that this year. Now, in Africa, you know, Africa is a market of around $3.4 trillion, which is expected to grow to around $30 trillion by the year 2050 under the ACFTA. A population of around 1.3 billion is a huge market. As PS said earlier, now Special Economic Zones Program is now recognized under the rules of origin, that it can now operate within the continent. It means now we can sell to Egypt, we can sell to Ghana, we can sell across the country.
And now on that as well, even as we build on that, you know, selling even across the continent,
yes.
Really. I want to quote the U.S. State Department of U.S. Department of State, really, and you know, really talking about you know, Kenya's you know, the climate investment, 2023 investment climate, and just in a nutshell, talking about how. So Kenya is, American companies continue to show strong interest to establish or expand their business presence in engagement in Kenya. Sectors offering the most opportunities for investors include agro-processing, financial services, energy, and extractives, transportation, infrastructure, retail, restaurants, technology, healthcare, and mobile banking. This is, from the US, really.
Yes.
Praising, Kenya's investment climate in a nutshell, even talking about largely how the whole Kenya Kwanza government. What should we be expecting? Because, the president himself has, has had close ties, really, with the US, visibly, as we have seen. What should we be expecting, even from the US? And what is in return, even for us as Kenya, when it comes to, the whole special economic zones? What are they going to be tapping into? So,
Kenya's value proposition for SEZ is unique. I've said we have access to 1.3 billion population across the continent. So an American company or European company that may want to sell in Africa can have Kenya as a manufacturing base. And manufacturing in Kenya has an additional advantage. Mm-hmm. As you're aware, today our energy sector is 93% renewable, meaning that we're a candidate for green manufacturing. And as you know, globally, the funding for green manufacturing is really good, especially in the last 1 or 2 years. The President has championed the Africa Summit and has participated in a number of climate. So we have our climate, our energy is not only competitive, as you are aware, but it's also green. So, and globally, people are going towards green. We are now talking about green hydrogen. We have a lot of interest in Naivasha because of its nearness to Olkaria for green hydrogen. So plenty of opportunity. In terms of region, East Africa is geostrategically located.
All right.
When we wake up in the morning, it's around afternoon or 2 p.m. in Japan. Mm-hmm. So you've got around 3 to 4, 5 hours to interact with the Japanese. Mm-hmm. When it's around 2 p.m. in Kenya, it's around 7 a.m. in the USA. So you've got another 3 to 4, 5 hours of interaction. Mm-hmm. That's why last year we licensed a company called Terrific, Two Rivers Innovation and Financial Center, because BPOs, financial services, are an area that most Western companies are now outsourcing to other parts of the world. Today, Philippines is very successful. Mm-hmm. A company in Philippines can employ up to 10,000 people. Here in Kenya, we want to use that geostrategic location to be able to serve both markets. Mm-hmm. And number two, a good example of what I'm saying is we last year in September licensed a company called CCI Kenya, right, in Tatu City. Within 2-3 months, they had employed 800 people. They are on course to do 5,000 by May. And what is unique about them is that the average age of those who are employed is 23 years old. Mm-hmm. Terrific is going to roll out some good program. You'll watch this space in the next 3 months. Right. You'll see a lot.
What, if I can add, if I may add to that, what we are expecting from foreign investment is build-up of our forex reserve. Right. We are expecting a knowledge know-how transfer. We are expecting technological transfer. We are expecting job creation. We are expecting backward integration with our local value chain and SME linkage. Yes. That is what we are expecting from the foreign investors. Right. Yeah.
He had mentioned about Philippines, but then I'll get to that in a few. But I remind even for the viewers to understand, really, we talk about the whole special economic zones. You've probably passed some of this and you actually don't know it is an SEZ. Some of the whole public ones are just behind our screens right here. Some of them, the Dongo Kundu. I do have Naivasha, Konza Technopolis, as well as Mombasa Industrial Park. Among the whole public, do have as well some of the private ones, just to mention but a few. The Tatu City, you have Africa Economic Zone, Compact FTZ, as well as Nairobi Gate Industrial Park. And as you can see there, Northlands, SEZ, Gami Properties, Eastern Orchards, SEZ, Fast Logistics. This, taking a look at around, I believe this is around Nakuru County. Do have also around Machakos from around the river, Grand Bulk Handlers, SEZ, Redlands Roses, Faraja Roses. Even as you come in, I'm taking a look at this map. The Kevo director, I hope you can really pinch out this particular map. All right, out so that you can have, take a look at a number of counties just to understand, the share, how counties really share some of this, SEZs really. First of all, I mean, which counties largely are benefiting from some of these SEZs from both public and private? Because when you take a look at this map, you can see most how they actually share. But then in the whole northern, you can't really see a number of them, and also a number of them along that coastal line. Bona PS.
I think before you establish a zone, there's a site location, okay, which it has some criteria to selecting a site. A site needs to be located near the add-ons where it will make sense to an investor. So we are working on that. We are working on building infrastructure all over the country so that we can enhance the site location. But it doesn't mean that we are focused. The zone can be set up in wherever in this country.
So this
but
is
right now,
this is the county aggregation.
Yes, yes, we are building up on that. But right now we are focusing on having like port-linked SEZ. You can see the Dongokundu is near the port. Yeah. The Naivasha is near the dry port. You say Lapset is near the...
There's also the Kipevu LPG.
Yes, yes. Right. But we are also thinking of airport-linked SEZ, so that people, once they produce, they want to distribute.
Also link with ESC,
yes.
The continent.
Yeah. Right, let me just add to what PS has said.
Okay.
You see, the process of licensing, as he said, it has certain requirements. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you as we speak, we are processing so many. The picture in a matter of months may not look like what you are seeing now. For example, in a matter of maybe weeks, you'll be seeing Homa Bay, the far end. Mm-hmm. There's also Kirinyaga, there is Kericho. We've had inquiries as far as Isiolo.
So the relaxed requirements.
Mm-hmm. So they are there. Mm-hmm. We will be updating our database as soon as we finish the processes.
Okay.
Some of the CAIPs, as mentioned by PS, they will be converting it to become special economic zone, okay? Mm-hmm. So it will be a choice of a county, and there is one CAIP in every county. So in a matter of a few years, we'll have, as he said, dotted all over the country. But that's not the point. Mm-hmm. The point is, what are the jobs we are creating? What are the resources we are adding value? Because we want to use, as he said, to maximize value of the resources we have as a country, whether they're agri, natural. That's the main point. And what does it translate to jobs? And as PS said earlier, in terms of technology, can Kenyans benefit? Can the technology be transferred from wherever it is into the country?
Right. And we're not only focusing on special economic zone or focusing on manufacturing only. We also now have special economic zone focusing on service sector. We have just licensed traffic, right? And so far we have received 16 investors who are willing to set up there with an investment value of around $250 million and job potential of 8,500 people. We have been screening those investors. We have admitted 5 so far.
Yes.
Yeah, so 11 will be admitted in the next quarter. Right. So it's not only manufacturing but also service sector. Right. A lot of BPOs and techie companies, they want to set up in the SEZ.
Dictorially, you had mentioned Philippines, and so back in 2021, Philippines, the special economic zone, generated $63 billion worth of export income with a total of 1.8 million workers from January all the way to December of 2021. So I'm curious, I mean, largely, even as a country, we largely, look up to Philippines. Comes to its whole economic transformation, really. I'm curious for Kenya. January all the way to December for this particular year, what is expected, what are we expecting to generate really?
In terms of?
The whole, what's the outcome from these SEZs?
What we're expecting is more foreign investment, more forex coming in. What you're expecting is more job creation. What you're expecting is the economic activities needs to be export oriented, right? So that what we want to reduce is, as I had told you before, we have a deficit on the BOP deficit, the trade deficit. So we want to reduce that deficit. So any activities which will amount to import substitution, like what is happening in the auctioning of cars. Import substitution, export of those of economic activities will be encouraged.
Also, this is another important point to the process that PS is saying. Before enterprises, people who do business go into the zone, the land must be developed. So we've spent a good part of last year licensing zones which are largely green. They've invested in putting up the necessary infrastructure. So this year we expect those to mature and be able to allow more as enterprises to go in. For example, I can tell you as I speak, we've got close to $120 million expression of interest, and we expect this to generate some between 8,000 and 9,000 jobs during this year. Mm-hmm. Those are the pipeline. But we are, we also just don't allow everybody. We have to go through a vetting process. So as we turn greenfield into brownfield, we have more enterprises going in. Government also, the Konsa City, now Naivasha, Rivertex, they are in a position now to start admitting investment in terms of public SEZ. Of course, private sector. This has been a private sector-led program, because out of 34, as Pierre said, 29 are private. So clearly it's a private sector. Even us in public, we don't run it. We don't do business. It's private. So we are now facilitating from green to brown, and then enterprises to go in. So good projection for this year.
Let me talk about forex stock. Yeah, our forex stocks right currently, well, from export. We get it from export, which is currently around 6 billion. Then we get it from diaspora remittance, which is around $4 billion. Then we get it from tourism earnings, which is around $2 billion. And then eventually FDI. FDI was the lowest, around approximately $500 million US. So as a State Department, we are working, for example, with the State Department of Tourism to ensure that when the tourists come in, also they invest. So visit Kenya, invest Kenya, yeah, and we are leveraging on the visa-free policy of coming to Kenya. We are also working with the State Department of Diaspora, yeah, and the State Department of Labor to see how we can increase the number of people going to the diaspora, and also encourage them to invest back home, because there was a study done that whatever this 4 billion is just 5% of their disposable income. So if we can just get 10% of their disposable income, that means we are going to double the 4 billion to 8 billion. Yeah, and we are also now working with the State Department of Trade on how to increase the export through our export processing zones and our special economic zone.
All right.
Yes.
And Kenya has largely been at a continental level, been loud about, its push for the green energy, and even, the president really. What's the role of the SEZ when it comes to, the green energy? I know you had alluded to this, earlier, but, largely and in context, some of this and all of this, SEZs that we are taking a look at, their role when it comes to, climate and all that.
Thank you, Stanley. Obviously, we are working on a good foundation that our energy, as I mentioned earlier, is 93% renewable. And with that, then we are a good candidate for green manufacturing, where we use renewable sources to manufacture. And with that credential, selling to certain market becomes easier.
And for Naivasha, it's 100% because all of it is from
Olkaria.
Geothermal. So it's 100% green. Eh?
Out there, markets are looking for these companies that respect the environment, that give environment the, treatment it requires. And that energy alone is enough. We're encouraging our zones to go green, whether it's use of, let's say, non-essential services like lighting, they use solar. And Naivasha, for example, is a good example of that. Cons are the same. When we were in Morocco, and a few years ago, I think it was 2019, UNCTAD did some survey across the world. Companies that were compliant to ESG, okay? 50 companies were selected globally, okay? 9 from Africa, 2 from Kenya. So 2 or 50%, it shows our strength, the fact that there are 40-something or 50-something countries in Africa, and 2 are from so it shows our credential around the United SDG environment-related
And those 2
principles.
is Konza and Tatu City.
And Tatu City. We are now encouraging and supporting all other SEZ within the country and those which are coming in to ensure that they subscribe to these principles of ESG, so that we value proposition our companies in readiness to compete globally. Because sales, the market in the world has certain requirements. They don't just buy for you because you manufacture. These things also underlie. And hence the reason why we are pushing for that.
Right.
So yes, we will be championing green energy and green credential in all our zone.
Right.
We want to build on what we already have. The president has said, I think the year 2050 will be 100% or thereabouts in terms of being renewable. So I think it can only get better for Kenya.
All right.
And in the space of greening, we are also greening our financial system.
Right.
Yeah? Right now, we have negotiated with World Bank under the KGET program. We've been given $40 million, and it will be managed under an entity called KDC under my State Department, so that to crowd in another $40 million to invest with other private investors in green investment. You see, the cabinet yesterday approved the sovereign green bond framework for issuance of sovereign green bond. Yeah, they also approved the green fiscal incentive policy. So we are greening our financial system so that we can allow green financing to take place.
A final question to both of you before I get your final thoughts. So how can a Kenyan out there tap into the SEZ, the Special Economic Zone? I mean, because you both of you, coming from both of you, it really shows Kenyans are quite innovative. So you find an innovative Kenyan that really wants to even tap into some of this, even in the whole county integrated parks, even the SEZs, some of these EPZs, but they don't really know the whole process. So coming from both of you, how can they tap into this? I can see you're directing Secretary to take that.
Yeah, it's a simple screening criteria, which I think the Kenyans need to know. It's on the website.
Yes.
On how you can, first of all, on how you can gazette the land as an SEZ. And after that, the SEZ gives 3 licenses. How you can get developer license, those requirements, how you can get operator license, and how you can get an enterprise license. Right. They're very clear, very simple.
Right. And even if you come in, sorry for that, cutting short. Now, even for the public SEZs, so this is a Kenyan who doesn't really want to, have the SEZ, privately, but then they really want to tap into some of this, public SEZs, for what they do really. So how can they do that?
Okay. So we are talking about Kenyans of different kinds here.
Yeah.
There is this Kenyan who has resources and may want to sell to somebody for purpose of value addition. As a PS, and it's clearly last year we changed the law, we can now backward integrate. They can supply their goods, whether they are avocados, they are mangoes, there are companies who will be doing value addition. So they can do. And I would encourage Kenyans to create economies of scales. They form cooperatives, they come together so that they are able to sell in mass to companies, because these companies also buy in large quantities to process. That's number one.
Without VAT.
Yes.
You sell to the zone without
the VAT.
Okay.
They can also form companies themselves and sell, or can add value of some kind before selling the product into the zone. That's one group of Kenyans. And if you are Kenyan out there, that's a challenge for you. Number 2, you can get employment in the zone. So if you are a youth, make sure you have the requisite skills, get to know what activities are happening in the zone. For example, we already have an auction house, so there are mechanics, there are engineers out there who may want to do services. You are from TVET University, there are opportunities for you. You could also be a company that offers services, construction, offering service, financial, some kind of consultancy. You can also get into the zone and offer service. The final group of Kenyans will be the entrepreneurs, the innovators. We allow for companies to grow for micro, small, and medium enterprises in the zone. It would be nice to create homegrown solutions through the innovativeness of Kenyan to grow within the zone. Those provisions are there. We may not have done all the structures for now to support them, but if you go to export processing zone, for example, they already have infrastructure for
it's in the master
incubation
plan.
and the
We
growth.
have set aside land and sheds for SME, which is at a lower rates.
So as you can see, all Kenyans are gathered for. You have money, you want to invest, you can invest. If you can be a producer of resources, raw material, you can supply. You can be qualified and have employment, or you have a farm. All Kenyans, and that's the reason why this program is here. Because all what we want to do is get this thing working, let us create jobs, let us attract. Because we don't want to be a dollar exporting country anymore. When you buy abroad, you are exporting $1. Okay? But when people come from abroad, come and buy from us, we're importing $1 or any other currency that comes into the country. And that's the position we want to be. So that influx of currencies, dollar, pounds, euro, coming into the country, and that, of course, stabilizes our economy in one way or another.
Right. Because of time, I'll have your final thoughts. A minute each. I'll start with the Boniface.
The final thoughts?
Your final thoughts, yes.
The final thought is that Kenya is in the go, and I'm urging and I'm encouraging, I'm inviting investors to take advantage of this leadership, which is pro-business. Yeah? The Kenya is how the president is putting it. Kenya is open for business. It is ready for business. It is safe for business, and we mean business. So please, for the investment community out there, take advantage of this pro-business leadership and a leadership which provides a conducive investment environment, a facilitative and enabling, so that you can tap in and explore and exploit the investment opportunities that we have, and so that it can be a win-win. For them, they can get their return, and also from our side, we can get that the social return in terms of job creation for our people.
All right. Dr. your final thoughts?
Thank you, Stanley. We are at a very prime position, both as a country within the region and across the continent. We are trailblazing. I encourage Kenyans to get interested, invest, whether it's joint venture, do something. Come and talk to us. We'll see how we can help you in terms of information, because information is power. This country is ready, and the market is opening up for us. With the visa-free, we even have better opportunities, because then we can come across different people. We are open for business, and we are thankful to the leadership of this country for creating the enabling environment. Okay. We've got a supportive ministry that has been keen to ensure that where reforms are required, they have done it.
Right. Let me add something.
Okay.
There's been a room up murmurs out there on the cost of doing business. The cabinet has just approved in December a task force to focus on business reform, to develop a business reform action plan focusing on cost of doing business under the Honorable CS Rebecca Miano. We are engaging the private sector to come forth with their cost structures, so that we can focus on the three main drivers of cost of doing business and see how the government can intervene. We are expecting a conversation where the cost competitiveness or the cost incentives will be performance linked. So you don't ask what the government can do for you, but we also I think we need to encourage people to say what they're going to do for the government. So I think we are going to give cost incentives, but they also need to show us what kind of investment they're going to put, how many people they're going to employ. So it will be a performance-linked cost incentives.
Right. One conversation that should really continue, the whole even cost of business in the country, really. But Asanteni sana, gentlemen. PS, State Department for Investment Promotion, Abubakar Hassan, and Dr. Kenneth Chelule.